I saw this story last night pretty late. And then you also wonder there's these weird people that always do these death hoaxes for whatever reason. And you're just wondering and hoping this is another one of those death hoaxes. And I fell asleep and I woke up in just a terrible tragedy that it's true. He and his brother both pass away. They're cycling. They get hit by a drunk driver and they're there in the Philadelphia area. It happened in New Jersey, but they're there for their sister's wedding, which was supposed to be today. Just Cam, one of the most awful stories I've heard in a long time.
It rocked me. I got up I got up late last night. My stomach was beat up. Kate and I went to Joe Bacardi's, went to my dad's, hung out with him. I did a couple things yesterday and I just, we watched movies and I was eating. So I woke up in the middle of the morning because my stomach was just killing me. And I go and I'm like kind of chilling. I'm looking at my phone. I'm like, I go, what? I go, no way. Charlie, we've got before on radio where I'm like, oh, he's passed away, and I announce it. And all of a sudden everybody's like, what do you mean, Cam? What do you mean? Like, so I'm like, wait a second. And it was so late at night to where no one really verified it. I know Peelsy posted something, which is kind of like, maybe you should wait until at least the team did. You never know how that goes because it's kind of tough to throw that out there, even though you might know a guy that knows somebody, whatever the case is. But I saw his tweet and I saw a couple other guys. Then I went back to bed and I'm like, God, please no. I had the weirdest night. It was in my head. I slept like crap. And I woke back up and I look, I'm like, oh no, it's true. And all that combined, his brother to his sister's wedding, to his little kids. I mean, he's got two kids. Like Jesus Christ, two little kids, and the whole cycling thing, and the drunk driving aspect to it. And even if that guy had two beers, I don't know what his blood alcohol level. This is all new, but we do have the police report. I don't know what his blood alcohol level is. You drink, you drive. It's not good. But like the aggressive driving, I see this shit all the time out here, Charlie. I complain about it all the time. You got that Dodge Ram. I told you I'm a slow driver, going 150 miles an hour on some of these roads, passing everybody to get to the job site or whatever. And you're just like, man, leave a little bit early. I know sometimes you're late, and I know like there's so much to this whole thing, but it drove me nuts this morning. Kate kind of sitting here like having her coffee, like I got tears in my eyes. Do I know him? Really? I know of him. I know about him. I know about his brother. I know about his family, and it effed me up bad, man, and it still has. And there's a lot of moving parts of the situation. But the end game is one of the best days of your life. Though his whole family is in town. Think about that. They're all probably staying in his house, and they're probably coming back from the rehearsal dinner or something. Or he and his brother are like, hey, it's 8:30 at night. The weather's cooled down. Let's go for a cruise. Let's spin our legs out a little bit. Let's drive around and chill for a little bit. And then of course you got this aggressive driver trying to weave in and out, according to the police report. And they're just on the side of the road and they got rocked pretty good. And I don't know, man. And not to mention, and you know this too, Charlie. We talked about the Columbus Blue Jackets and how what a weird 4 years that organization in many a ways, including coaches and stuff. But in 2021, in Manny Legacy's house, the
Mhm.
firework accident with that poor goalie saving his best friend, the other goalie, and his wife in a hot tub with a rocket that fell. That whole situation, ay ay ay. The hockey world is devastated right now, devastated, and this is going to be a tough one for a long time.
I remember a couple years ago reading an article about why he went from Calgary to Columbus, and this was right in the middle of COVID. So this was a couple years ago, but I remember basically him saying that at the time it was so difficult to get in and out of Canada for his family. And I can't remember exactly if he had kids at the time. He was either about to have kids or just had kids, or his wife was pregnant. I apologize, whatever it was. But I remember him saying, like, part of the reason he wanted to go to the States, and even though it's Columbus, it is the Eastern time zone, was to see his family. And then when you see it's him and his brother, and it's the wedding day. I mean, do you even have the wedding? What do you do? And then you see the pictures of his little kids and his wife. God, it's just the worst.
Uh, I mean, I don't know. And you always look at these. Is it avoidable? You know, anytime there's a death, or you try to break it down. Like it's our human nature. Like, how did that happen? How can we avoid it? And so we could fix things in the future, right? And in this particular case, I don't know, man. I don't know the road setup. I don't know if there was a bike lane. I just don't know. But it's a shame, and it's going to be tough, and it's going to be horrible for this family for a long time, and that organization, and everybody involved. Um, but I don't know, what do you do? Like, what do you do next? Like, what everybody wants answers and stuff like that. Like, we know there was somebody at fault. Um, but how can we avoid something like this in the future is probably the question on a lot of people's minds right now. But I don't know if there's an answer to it.
Yeah, our guy Daddy Padre brings up a good question, and I don't know if I have a good answer for this. He says, "Charlie, what is wild is this is maybe the biggest death we have ever seen in terms of caliber of a player in sports history in terms of an active player." And so I read that question from our guy Daddy Padre, and then I'm thinking as you're talking, and I can't think of anybody in the last 10, 15 years. I mean, obviously Kobe Bryant passes away after he's done. Can you think of anybody?
Well, okay. Well, yeah. The Nottingham. Well, with this caliber, no. But the Nottingham kid, skate to the neck, was a big story. You know, he wasn't a professional athlete. I mean, he is a professional athlete, but not at a
Yes.
superstar level like Johnny. Okay, the Cardinals went through a couple of these um, with uh, uh, Daryl or
Daryl
Kyle
Kyle,
and the other kid
Josh
too,
Josh Hancock.
Josh Hancock. Yeah, sorry, I
Yes.
was blanking on that.
No worries.
But you know what? Who else went through this back in the day was the St. Louis Blues back in the 70s. Similar kind of thing, if you think about it. And I see Bruce Affleck every single day. I see Bobby Gassoff Jr. all the time. Bobby Gassoff Jr.'s dad, Bob Gassoff, who's in the Rafters, number 3, so everybody knows, and you do know if you're a Blues fan, the similar kind of thing happened at the farm back in the 70s when they told the kid, yeah, a kid that kind of worked there, they had a big blues party out there, and they told the kid, hey, man, we need some more beer. He jumps in a pickup truck, runs out of town. They're kind of middle of nowhere, so he probably had to drive 10 miles, whatever, speeding out of the way. And all of a sudden, Bob Gassoff gets on a motorcycle, a dirt bike, cruising around, and they both come around the corner, and he gets killed. And so, like, this has happened in St. We've seen this firsthand with Blues fans and Cardinals fans. But as far as the caliber of player and the popularity, and then his brother. I mean, it's just one. It's brother too, and then you tie everything together. This is the most hardcore thing I've seen in sports in a long time.
Just awful. Putty Chains put up Thurman Munson. That was, I believe, late 70s, early 80s catcher for the
It happened.
Yankees. Daddy Padre, here's a couple, I don't want to say good, but good examples. Jose Fernandez was an absolute stud pitcher for the Marlins. And then Sean Taylor, the
Yeah.
defensive back in the NFL.